Good morning, students. Welcome to today's class. It is my great honor to be invited at this location and this occasion. And you might know me first from your teacher, Pa Jeremiah, and I am a good friend of Pa Jeremiah. We used to go all the way back from our university days and our college days, and Pa Jeremiah and I, there was a time when we were roommates, and there was a time when we had to share a living space. A lot of stories, a lot of things that I could say about our previous interactions. But today I'd like just to introduce the topic and the approach to what we're doing here. So, as I said, I'm a good friend of Pat Jeremiah, and Pat Jeremiah, we know each other all the way back since our ITC days. And we both had been sharing our classrooms together, and not only our living space, but we shared the same major, we had the same lectures, and we also shared across the span of 3 years. Uh, we weren't partners most of the time, but we were in the same classroom, and we've gone through a very rigorous uh, class where we studied on how to teach literature. And one of the greatest things about studying how to teach literature is that you actually have to like literature yourself. And today, as you come to our session, and as you try and begin to consider what creative writing is, one of the first things that you should ask yourself is, do I even like reading? I come to the classes and I come to the course that we shared, Jeremiah and I, with the same, I don't know if he had the same approach as I did, but all I know before I entered and stepped into that class, into the course, secondary English course where we studied on how to teach literature, I was opposed to the idea. I was not really a fan. And it is quite funny because I came in there without any motivation. I came in there without any understanding of what literature is, and I didn't know what exactly it would mean for me to begin touching on literature. But over the course of the semesters, over the course of the credits that we had to do in our university, I had a professor, we both had a professor that loved literature, that loved the whole idea of writing, the whole idea of reading different authors from different genres, from different areas across the world. Particularly our professor, his name was Dr. Holler, he loved British literature. And he himself was an American. And his approach and how he loved literature eventually is something that is contagious to everybody in that classroom. Today, you might come with the same attitude to how I was looking at that classroom. Maybe today you come to the classroom understanding nothing about creative writing. Maybe you never really appreciated what literature is, and maybe you are here today not really wanting to learn creative writing. All of us come from different places. All of us come from different contexts. Some of us here today are from Cambodia, and some of us here today are from Manado. Manado is a beautiful place. Manado is where my godparents are, and I am an Indonesian. And Manado is very similar to the kind of city that we have here in Sihanoukville. Sihanoukville has a lot of beaches like Manado. Sihanoukville is off at the coast. while Manado is also at the coast. The sun shines really brightly here and there, and I would say that our two different cities are far more similar than they are different. Of course, we do speak different languages. In here, Sihanoukville, we speak Khmer. There has been a lot of influence from the Chinese companies coming in, and they also speak Khmer, and we also speak English in our international school. But of course, in Manado, beberapa dari kalian berbahasa Indonesia, and I also speak Indonesian, and it's just so different, right? Two different cultures, but two different cities, yet they are similar. But all of us here are gathered here today to learn about what creative writing is. You may come from a different context. And the point that I'm trying to make here today is that wherever you come from, whatever context that you begin with, writing is something that you yourself can pick up. Writing is not some exclusive type of activity where it is limited to some people who are smarter than the rest. It is not limited to those who can communicate, because in the essence of what we're trying to do here today is that we're trying to make creative writing accessible for all of us. Maybe when you look at creativity in general, or what is creativeness, you might see that some people are more creative than others. However, that's only part of the truth. Some people are much more interesting than the way we do things, but it does not mean that each of us are not endowed with the ability to create something. All of us are gifted with that ability to create something that's original, to create something that is valuable, because all of us have that inherent ability. Today, I'm going to go over writing in general, and why writing and reading, and why you have writing and reading is something that you should pick an interest in. Although, of course, everyone here might already have their own interests, might already be interested in writing, but how should we approach writing if it's the very first time that we're going to encounter it? As I said, wherever you come from, whatever state you are in, writing is something that all of us can pick up. Okay, there are 4 reasons to write, and these reasons are something that I pick up across research, across different locations, and I found a number of things from research and also my own experience of why people write and why should you pick up writing. The first reason why people write in general, one of the purposes that is so good about writing is to be alive. Now, I'm not trying to say that you are dead if you're not writing. But as one philosopher once said, a life unexamined is a life that's not worth living. Writing is something that is able to realize your experience. Writing is something that can make an experience that is maybe only what you have known to be known for others. Writing is something that could put life into something that is dry. And when we see and when we try to write, we can actually make the experiences that we have into something that others can also experience. Although we might see that writing can be exaggerated, writing can be unrealistic, and maybe some of you are tired of reading novels because sometimes the author, and maybe in your own perspective, they just over exaggerate. Well, I would like to argue that all the experiences that you have are to some point exaggerations. Sometimes the way that you experience a life event is something that is so alive, something that is so vivid in your memory because of how you felt. And writing it down for others to see, all of us have a bias. All of us have this feeling. All of us have an inherent idea, an inherent maybe bias when we come to writing. And it's okay. Why is it bad to express? Why is it bad to actually be yourself? Sometimes when we're so engrossed in academic writing or in preparations for whatever's to come, we forget to be ourselves. Writing helps us to be far more alive than how stale the world may present itself. Some people write, and this is another reason, some people write to make a name for themselves. Some people try to show off their skills, and some people try to show off what they can do to the world and grasp readers that will praise them. Some people have this ability. Some people are gifted with this ability. And this is what they can do, right? However, I think when we say some people make a name for themselves through writing, it can actually be deeper than just selfish intentions. The idea that J.K. Rowling would only write Harry Potter to be rich, I think it is not fair to say that. But some people, when we say some people make a name for themselves, some people do it because they want to carve a part of themselves in history. Some people can make a mark throughout time and ages, and for them to be able to express themselves. What we said before is that some people, when they write, they want to be alive. But some people also want to carve their name in history. Some people want to be part of history. And some people want that etched mark. People do stay when they try to etch their mark in history, and some people don't. For example, there are some people, for example, like Chaucer, Mark Twain, George Eliot. These writers are so awesome in the way they write. And they are able to show that. And they are able to make a name for themselves. What we have to understand is that writing can come from any kind of motivation. It can be very selfish, but it also can be something that's just wanting to express yourselves. While it can be very selfish, some people are selfless. Another reason why people want to write is that they want to change the world from what they mark. Some people take writing as the sword that they're going to use to battle the enemies of the world. Some people want to be stronger. Some people want to, basically, they want to fuel their ideas, and they want to change the way others perceive a certain item or a certain idea. And this takes form in many ways. There are manifestos, communist, if maybe you've heard about the Communist Manifesto before, or maybe you've heard about people's claims about the world. And what people do sometimes is that they just want to change the way things are. For example, there are writers who wants to write about the reality of racism, the reality of sexism, and they try to address it through their characters, through the setting, through the plot. And writing in general is their vehicle to deliver these ideas and these idealisms. That's why writing is something that anyone can take. You don't have to be the most sound individual to write something, right? Maybe you actually want to tackle this understanding that writing is only for the cream of the crop, those who are better than others, only those who can write. There are people who write in a very simple way and they change people's perspectives. For example, people, they write in a very simple way, but they can change people's perspectives about very complex ideas. We have to recognize that writing is such a versatile tool. Writing is something that people can use for their own advantage. But some people, they want to change the world. Some people want to express themselves, make a name for themselves, and some people want to be alive in what they're writing. And some people want to go deeper. They want to find and discover the meaning of life, the meaning of the things that they do. To a degree, we could say writing is not just putting words on paper. Writing can be some form of journey where you put the things, your thoughts on your mind to write. And these things that you put on paper are things that stay, things that you could look at, and things that actually help you dive and eventually come closer to what or why or how or whatever it is that you're experiencing. This is why sometimes journaling is something that is a very therapeutic experience. Maybe this is where it's most helpful to you. Maybe writing is not your vehicle to express your ideas, but maybe it is your vehicle to find out more about yourself, or to find out more about why we do things. A lot of authors do this. A lot of authors try to question the world. Why do we care so much about money? Why do we care so much about how we look in front of others? Questions about self-esteem, questions about the meaning of life. Through writing, people are able to do this. Today, from these 4 different aspects, I just like to bring all of us together. You may come from a background where writing is not your forte. Writing is not what you want to do in the next 5 years. That writing is something that just happens to be something that you're doing at school. But today I'd like to just give you an argument, to give you an idea that all of us have something to say. Maybe you want to write because you want to be alive. You want to make real the things that you experience. You want others to see the world the way that you do. Or maybe you want to make a name for yourself. Maybe you want to carve your name in history. You want to leave a mark for others to see. You want to showcase the talents that the Lord has given you. Or maybe today, you want to change the world. I don't know if there are some people here that want to necessarily change the city of Sihanoukville or the city of Manado. But maybe you want to use writing as a vehicle to change society, to change the way people perceive reality or perceive things that a lot of people assume to be real. Or maybe you want to become a person who understands his reality in a better way. Maybe you want to write to discover the meaning of why you do things. Through these 4 examples of why people write, today I'd like to present to you with that idea that there are a lot of reasons for you to write. It's not just about putting words on paper and trying to see if these words would give you high grades. Writing is an essential part of the human experience because it allows you to be real. It allows you to be alive. It allows you to be more into who you're supposed to be. Today's first session is not very informative, but I aim to make it far more motivational than it is informative. Today I want you to ask, what are my motivations? Why am I writing? Why should I care about writing? And you could do this by actually writing about why you are writing. And we're going to do an activity right after this. And I'm going to be giving you time together. And this is more of an individual kind of activity. And what you're going to do first is you're going to spend some time writing freely. Okay? Writing the way that you want. We're going to take around 15 minutes. And you could approach this more as, you could purge it out. You could puke all your ideas out on paper. Maybe you want to write with a real paper. Maybe you want to write it down on your computer. That's okay. That's up to you. But I want you to own your learning experience, your writing experience. I want you to consider why you are writing. Maybe when you are writing, you're thinking in the 4 different reasons that I have just shown you. But maybe you're writing for another reason. Maybe you're writing for a reason that I don't mention. What I like to say is that there is no right way to write. The only right way to write is to write. Now, let me repeat myself again. The only right way to write is to write. Sometimes when we begin writing, the biggest fear is to put those first 3 words on paper, or maybe to even finish the sentence, or maybe to even start thinking about it. Maybe some of us don't even bother picking up the pen or turning on the computer and opening that word processor program. But to begin writing, to understand why you are writing, you must first write. All of us are given that ability. At the very least, at school, all of us have that privilege. Some places in the world, freedom of writing is not given. You have to understand that you have the ability to do all those four things when you put the words on paper. Now, when you're writing for the next 15 minutes, consider writing in that sense. Be grateful that you have the ability to actually write down your points, your opinions, your ideas. Be grateful that you have been given the platform to actually think. So, write your motivations. Write why are you writing. And when you're finished, I want you to share with the people that are around you. And I want you to try to iron each other out. Why are you writing? Maybe you have different experiences that you want to mention. Maybe you want to include your past experiences. Maybe you want to express that you're afraid of writing. And it is okay to be afraid. It is okay to tell others, to be vulnerable. And let's see what others have to say. And when you hear the stories of others, I hope that you could find strength in knowing that writing is an ability that everyone can do. Writing has a lot of motivations. Writing has a lot of purposes. Writing has a lot of functions. Writing is more of a vehicle than it is a skill to show off. Everyone can write as long as they can think, and the only right way to write is to write. So if you have any questions, maybe about the purpose of writing, maybe you actually want to ask a question right after sharing, how can I actually write better? Is it just about motivation? Is it just about changing my mindset? Why should I care about writing? And I think that's actually the first step to go. Because if you've never even asked yourself why you should start writing or why you should actually care about writing, then you're not even interested to begin with. I don't want to take too much of your time today here, but I hope from my little brief lecture, you could try to see that writing is a gift. Writing is something that you should use. Writing has a lot of motivations, has a lot of functions, has a lot of purposes. So, begin writing. Write in the next 15 minutes, and I'll see you guys again. Okay? All right, this is Principal Thomas from Life International School. It is my big pleasure to be here today just to introduce you to this first session. And I am grateful that Pa Jeremiah has given me this platform to express and to also talk about one of my favorite things in the world, writing. I'll see you guys again. Until then, take care. Goodbye.